Up for our next brawl, Complexity versus Team Solo Mid.
Hey, did you just say Complexity? All right, let's get weird, Riv.
All right, Complexity has been the team that can take games off any other team, except Team Solo Mid. They're 0-3 against the Bay Life crew.
And TSM is most consistent when facing teams from the bottom of the standings. However, yesterday, they did look sloppy in their last two LMQ.
A little bit.
They had a good idea on how to set up plays, but they had bad coordination and communication, and it kept them from successfully executing those plans. For example, there was that mid game where TSM thought they were setting up a 5v4 in the jungle, but Amazing initiated the fight before the rest of the team was there, and there was no one to follow up. They kind of trickled in one by one and just started dropping like flies. Also, surprisingly, Amazing's choice to play Rengar when Elise was available. This split, he has been the Amazing Spider main, and he is 7-0 on that champion. So not really a big reason for him to go away from it.
I don't know. Different thoughts. We'll see what they do today. On the other side of this matchup, Complexity is also coming off a loss yesterday. Their first defeat to Cloud9 this split.
Yeah, Complexity, they were known for the big Devil May Care moves, but against Cloud9 yesterday, Complexity were still playing like they didn't want to lose an early lead. However, in that game, with Westrice and probably dying in 1v1s, they didn't even have an early lead to lose. So when Complexity had their most success, they were picking these strong lane champions, and they didn't want to start the game with that early deficit. They would do everything in their power to get a comp that was super strong early so they wouldn't have to. And that is going to be very hard for them to do today because TSM excels at that laning phase.
That's right. And before we jump into our starting lineups, there's one player on Team Solo Mid who's known for shelling out damage. But what makes WildTurtle so...
wild?
I was going to say crazy.
When I was a sub for TSM, I didn't expect to be like playing for them or anything. I just wanted to be there. I was kind of like a cheerful guy, and I just like to play a lot of jokes on people. I kind of didn't take everything too seriously. At the time, the roster was Reginald, Dyrus, Xpecial, and Odd One.
When Turtle first came to the team, I thought he was really outgoing, all smiles. He was a really nice guy.
WildTurtle will be filling the AD carry role for TSM. Freak, how do you see this one affecting the team?
When he first played, I just told him, you know, he just should have fun. And if he messed up, don't worry, no big deal.
Big pressure on that guy on your screen right now, WildTurtle.
I didn't expect to do well when I subbed.
I tried to ease him into it a little bit, but, you know, he just took off.
WildTurtle at the back, just hitting one after the other. There's a double kill for him. Maurice goes in, that's going to feed him a triple kill. MIA Tran, that's going to be a quadra kill. Can he get the pentakill? Front you, 1-on-1, it's going to be the pentakill. Beautiful play, WildTurtle stepping up. First game for TSM, and he picks up a pentakill at the end.
I actually got down to the wire, and then on that last fight, Turtle just cleaned house. Basically, it took away all the criticism that anyone had for him.
I was just new, he was just trying to have fun, playing aggressive, even though that wasn't the right way to play.
Turtle used to play extremely aggressive, something he was known for.
The hard engage are onto Edward, he's just exploding right there. Look at Turtle! Turtle's flashed into the base to get the kill here, but he's now alone, and that's not a Thresh on his team. He can't get over the wall, but the rest of the team flashes forward. He has him losing that one.
Turtle went crazy in that fight. He lost his mind as he flashed into the base.
TSM started losing a lot more. We had like 14 losses that split. And then I was like, oh God, I gotta take the game more seriously. I kind of still feel like I'm pretty new, even though I'm not. I'm like the second oldest now. I don't know, it's just really, it's been an adventure. Me and Dyrus still like are pretty similar. We just let the new guys basically try to take over.
Turtle was one of the people I talked a lot to in the beginning because he was just very easy to talk to and very outgoing.
When I first met him at the start, like, this guy is crazy. Like, there's something about him, he's so energetic. You can see that in game 2 when he's like, just going for crazy plays, just trying to force stuff that he probably shouldn't, but he still does it and still comes away with it.
He's just like a crazy guy in the game. He jumps in, he just goes ham all the time.
I think being a veteran is pretty important in LCS. It allows you to perform consistently on LAN, so I think him and Dyrus will do that really well.
I would say the main veteran qualities that Turtle really brings is he knows a lot about the NA scene, and he's been around the NA scene for a while, so he knows a lot of the players, and how they like to play and what they like to play and things like that.
I feel like his playstyle is less aggressive now. He doesn't like just run in like it's solo queue and try to kill everybody. He's more calculated now. He actually knows when to play safe.
Now I kind of just like play sometimes aggressive and like sometimes passive. I have a balance now.
Now that he's been here for a while, he's much more confident, and he just knows a lot more things, although he's still silly at times.
I mean, he still smiles a lot now, but I think he doesn't smile as much because LCS has toughened him up. He's become more of a man.
Well, I think I'm less troll now, I guess. My personal goal, I kind of want to be an astronaut, I guess, maybe, and then just get a pentakill on Mars, you know what I mean?
That's the everyday kind of stuff I get 20 times a day.
It doesn't surprise me that he just wants to go to Mars and get the pentakill there. Like, geez, that guy is, I don't know, he's from another planet, I think.
Where would you want to get a pentakill, Kobe?
What? Right here would be fine. We don't have to go to Mars.
All right. Well, we'll see if right here happens today for anybody on the Rift. Let's get it started with a quick roster rundown on the blue side. It's going to be Complexity. That means it's Westrice in the top lane, Kez in the jungle, Probably in mid, ROBERTxLEE at AD carry, and Bubbadub on support.
And on the red side, it's TSM. Up top is Dyrus. In the jungle, amazing. Mid, Bjergsen. AD carry, WildTurtle. And supporting Gleeb.
I like that. Pentakill on Mars. That's some goals. You know, when you're always trying
The
to
best
cheat
part about
goals,
that
you're
is-
going to get some good stuff along the way, too.
Do we have the LCS broadcast on Mars, or do we just have the base here still?
I don't know.
And we let WildTurtle just have his own computer out on Mars. That would cause some bad ping, I think.
I don't know if we have the internet. Yeah. Internet would definitely be a problem there. I don't think we've got the space-time continuum for lag figured out yet. But we do here at the LCS studios because we're on LAN, and these guys are about to go head-to-head on the Rift, where there is virtually no lag. Now, as these teams have matched up, TSM has found each win. Complexity's been struggling against this team this year. But TSM has also really only had a good time against the bottom teams in the league.
Yeah, if you mean they just win all their games against the bottom teams,
Yeah.
then I'd say, yeah, it's a pretty
It's going
good
to beat
time.
around the bush. We're getting there.
We'll see
So-
if they can keep it up, though.
They have to,
because,
because if they can't get those wins against the top teams, then they'll start
a
to
lot
go down the list.
of streaks have been broken this week. So we'll see if TSM can keep their streak
Very true, Kobe.
alive.
Very true. See the bands coming out for the mid lane on the side of Team Solo Mid. AD carry and support ban. That late game so far
Man.
being focused.
Everyone keeps banning out this Yasuo versus Complexity. But Probably,
Yasuo.
every time he sees it banned out, he just kind of laughs because he really does stay true to that feed strategy on Yasuo. And he's, you know, it's not even a real big part of their team. But we'll see how it plays
But
out.
it can be.
All of
There's
these-
so much potential there.
I mean, all these bans focused on Probably. So much focus here for TSM. I want to see what TSM are looking to get Bjergsen here, because maybe they want Bjergsen on that classic assassin where he can really get an early lead and take over the game. That's where they've had so much success, especially versus the bottom teams, when they have Bjergsen with someone who can actually take over the game after a couple of kills early.
So the bans for Probably,
All the bans on
usually
Probably.
the
yeah.
commotion maker allows for Tristana to get through, something that has been consecutively banned now against Complexity 4 games in a row. And now it's let through versus Team Solo Mid. And TSM was actually the one of them that banned it in week 7 when
Yeah,
they played.
I mean, it seems so far like this is going pretty well for Complexity because they want Probably to be the one in the mid lane who's getting all this attention and drawing away bans so people forget about Robert. I mean, most of Complexity's upset wins, their big wins, come when Robert in the bottom lane gets a good early start.
Yeah.
And on that Tristana, it's been one of his favorite champions. They've had a lot of success with that champion. Plus, if you end up going to one of those 60, 80-minute games, and Tristana will be a very good champion to have on your team.
Fill you full of lead. Makes it hurt. Dyrus.
Uh-oh, going to page 2 here.
Beep. Please turn the page.
They're
Oh,
done.
he's done.
Oh, the only thing that was written on there was first picks. Morgana and Elise.
Yep, they're doing everything we want. It's our game.
They're like, TSM game plan, get Elise in for amazing.
Done. This time they're not going to give that up. There's been games where they just let that go to the wayside, and we saw him pick something completely different. Not today. He's going to go for the Lee Sin. Last time, or one of the last times we saw him on that, he was making initiating plays with some insect jumps. keep an eye on that to see if he does it again. Gleeb does not take Nami this time.
Well,
banned out, so
Nami
he chooses
is
to
banned.
go for Morgana.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Just
and they've
didn't
already
need it.
so the thing that TSM did here by first picking this Morgana is kind of force a lesser support onto Bubbadub. So is it going to be the Thresh into Morgana, which a lot of people are pretty happy with that Morgana reaction for the hooks?
Safety of Braum.
Or is it going to be some other sustain support? Bubbadub has really liked sustain support, so maybe he brings out the Sona even. Probably though, in all likelihood, Thresh is the highest probability.
Complexity always does whatever with their picks and bans. Sometimes if they can get a good pick for Prolly, they'll first pick him. Then it's ROBERTxLEE if they can get it. Then Prolly will pick in the middle without even wanting to round out his composition to see what TSM has. Very interesting.
Well, these ones are pretty clear. Like
Well,
Tristana
right.
definitely one of Robert's favorite, and Elise definitely
Yeah.
one of Kez's favorites. Plus, Elise one of the only junglers that can hang with Lee Sin early. So they're looking to match them. What's surprising to me is the Aurelia for Dyrus.
First play for him. He hasn't had too much of an impact on champions of the aggression.
Well, the thing is, you know, Gragas is still up, and he's been so outspoken about how much he loves Gragas right now. Nidalee is up, who everyone's saying is this huge lane bully. As we just saw, though, Inox tried to counterpick Nidalee with Aurelia.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the teams who've been practicing with each other have seen a lot of this Aurelia into Nidalee and Aurelia doing well. And so by picking Aurelia early, TSM kind of scare Complexity off of that pick for Westrice, and he just returns to that Renekton that we've seen him build into a very tanky Renekton over and over and over. He's been skipping the Tiamat build that a lot of people have been favoring. But yeah, Dyrus makes the switch over to Aurelia instead of favoring the very popular Nidalee and Gragas both on the table. See if it works out for them.
Bjergsen possibly looking at the Xerath. Played it yesterday, 2-2-2. That loss against LMQ as he hovers it. He will be able to keep range on Prolly. A lot of interesting picks being brought back out.
Well, that's Sona. I mean,
Sona
I
as
was
well.
talking about Bubbadub really loves sustain supports, and he does end up going with it, even over Thresh here. Since Tristana does have her own rocket jump to stay pretty safe. Doesn't need to rely on the Lantern. And they want that AoE CC.
Definitely a tested support for Bubbadub. Won against Cloud9 in Week 6 with that Sona pickup, along with a Tristana in lane. So we'll see them actually running the same comp here against Team Solo Mid in that duo. Very interesting pickups from what we usually see here for Team Solo Mid, at least in a full composition.
It's a pretty strong early combo there.
Yeah.
Tristana and Sona. They can shove very early. We'll see if Kez decides to back them up or decides to back up Westrice, because bottom lane's going to be shoving, top lane's going to be shoving here for Complexity. It's kind of them going back to that strong lane phase. So
let's do a quick tally of the votes over on LoLesports.com. And right now, 78% of you saying TSM won.
You can change that vote by tweeting hashtag COL win or TSM win to LO Esports.
Juan,
we'll
Kobe.
be updating. I think it's Wand.
It's Wand?
I think the correct pronunciation is TSM Wand. Yes.
Something like that. That's how it'd sound if it came out of Twitch chat, probably. So with this coming in, obviously we said Complexity looking to get a win off of Team Solo Mid. They've been kind of running rampant across the lower teams in the league, and this would be the time, at least for Complexity as well, who's really been able to lock down a lot of security for wins in the past few weeks to get this next one off of Team Solo Mid. This will be the last time the teams play in their 4-time matchup, and now I guess would be the best time to get that win.
Yeah. Now is always the best time to get a win. In the present. You got to live in the present. I think that what we're going to be looking at in the present and during the beginning of the game, too, is going to be the Lee Sin versus Elise matchup. Kez, even though he's been playing a lot of Elise, his early game control hasn't been that strong. He hasn't been seeking out the other jungler to go for the counter ganks. And he's really been focusing on farming and ward control lately, yet so many players have been able to get off ganks even despite Kez's ward control.
Yeah.
So this time around, I don't know, maybe Amazing will make something happen early, or Kez will be able to keep him in vision.
Exactly the same buys all around. So now you know it's player mistake if they mess up.
Ooh. Well, it's I think maybe the only interesting aberration is the Renekton not going with Doran's blade anymore, and it has to do with that change to the blade.
Good eyes.
Lifesteal really just gives you a very small amount back compared to the old proc, especially for Renekton, who gets multiple procs of that passive on his W. Counter invade here by Westrice up top. You're going to get some vision down on the opponent's red. TSM will be seen exiting though, so should be a very even start for these two teams for the level 1s. Both junglers know there is vision on their red. It looks like Amazing will start his route up top and maybe target that bottom lane early. Tristana does have to push extremely early on. We've seen multiple junglers take advantage of that fact.
And it's not an impossible lane to come back for a gank as well. If they can get Bubbadub to blow his flash, there are 0 offensive summoners to be used down there. So they can come back and just take out Sona all willy-nilly.
This ward, though, is going to tell Complexity that Amazing will be starting his route up top side. What that does for Westrice is open up Westrice. This is great for him. He's now got a window where he knows he doesn't have to worry about the 3-minute double buff gank. And he can just abuse this Aurelia Renekton matchup early on, which is exactly what you want to be able to do as the Renekton player in this matchup. That early level 1 actually did go pretty heavily in favor of Complexity. Westrice is going to have full confidence to go aggressive on Dyrus early. And you can see it already. He's trying to shove in, build up that Fury, and go for the exchanges every time his Fury bar is fully stacked. Whoa, Amazing. Pulling out a couple tricks here, though. See if you can get behind him. Wow, so cheesy. The red-to-red start here. See if Kez actually checks this bush. All junglers in solo queue get in the habit of checking this. Kez is going to be in a really bad spot here.
This is something that the odd one has actually done before. Straight red to red. Now Amazing implying it, putting it into the game for himself and really pushing Kez off of that one. No response can be done from the bottom lane. We saw Bubbadub start to rotate, but you see already Gleeb was on that roll as well.
Yeah, so it was an unnecessary flash there for Amazing though. He should have been confident just with getting the flash from Kez. But he got a little anxious and went for the kill as well. So summoner spells go even, but it will be buff control for TSM, and Amazing does pull it off. Red buff to red buff is nothing new.
Right.
A lot of people, especially with Lee Sin or Pantheon, these junglers that will win versus anyone that early on, are confident in going for this. Especially when you find your opponents already attacking the buff. It is the easiest possible scenario to just abuse them heavily. There's no option, by the way, for release in that situation except to run away.
It's interesting that we don't see more of it, especially when we have Lee Sin players.
So it's really risky, and a lot of times the mid laners will ward for the second buff of your jungler. Something you should always ask for in solo queue, by the way, to make sure you don't get cheesed like that. Amazing does head bottom.
Here's the flash. They're trying to... Oh! Man! What a sidestep from Bubbadub.
Bubbadub.
In the head of Gleeb there.
Man, the confidence of Bubbadub.
That would have been his flash. We were just talking about that. And then the return trip would have been back down. Could have been first blood. He really actually prevented a lot right there.
Man, you really got to be confident to go for that dodge too. That was a very nice sidestep by Bubbadub. See here though, up top, Westrice hasn't been able to get the CS lead. He's actually down. This is kind of classic Dyrus. He's often happy to even take these matchups where he could get punished early, and he focuses just so heavily on last hitting and weathering the storm.
Right.
He's done it so far here versus this early Renekton. That's a very good sign for TSM, especially since Westrice had knowledge that the jungler would not be coming to his side early. Great job by Dyrus, staying up there in CS.
Amazing deciding to go back. A little odd of a time. He only gets the rejuve bead and a bit more damage on a longsword. But he will be able to maybe help up top. He maybe thought he didn't have enough time to stay in or stay out for that last camp. We're going to have a little action in the top lane here as Kez is approaching.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of wards here for Westrice, and they've got it pretty secure. Maybe they go for the dive. Well, he just used all his fury, so probably won't go for the dive here. Aurelia is very hard to dive. Maybe they'll wait for Dyrus to come out into lane, because you can often get yourself into trouble diving the Aurelia, because she can utilize that low HP to stun you under the turret. Now, Elise is a great champion for doing that because he can repel. But man, they're investing a lot of time here. It will pay off if Dyrus goes up the river. Uh-oh. This is pretty bad for Dyrus, though. He's going up the river, and this is going to be 2 versus 1. Will they get a flash? Okay.
Yep.
So at least they get the flash there for complexity. It wasn't a waste of time for Kez. However, that's only important if you can actually pull off the dive, because Dyrus is playing this lane so passively. He's already allowing himself to be pushed into lane that he's not going to overextend and you know, put himself out there for a return gank. So he's just going to be playing defensively and farming under the turret. You can really only punish him for burning that flash if you go for a dive, which is getting risky.
We'll see that. They have up to about 11 minutes to make that dive happen, and Dyrus waiting for his flash to come back up. Mid lane is 46 to 44, pretty much even Stevens around the map here. The gold is even dead on as both teams try to really get an upper hand here. What kind of advantage would give them the lead? Dragon really isn't in the minds yet of both teams. Probably get a few more items, or at least the first back for the AD carries. Everybody's been pretty slow laning phase here.
And despite Amazing's sort of gank down bottom where he just walked over there and wasn't getting anything off, it's a huge lead for Robert and that Tristana. And we're seeing why so many teams ban Tristana against Robert. He plays the early game of Trist so aggressively, shoving this lane in with the sustain advantage that Sona brings in this matchup. He gets off to a very early start. He hasn't even had to go back to purchase yet. They have not only a giant CS lead, but also the turret is actually probably going to go. No, they're not going to get the local gold. Ah, every single game today so far, it seems like. So they lose out on.
Put out a PSA, Kobe.
Yeah, and we need to update everybody. They need to come to class. Local gold of turrets is very real.
Interesting.
Hey, maybe you could have completed your ship. I don't know how much gold he has.
He still wants it. He had about 1,900, so just around 2,000 gold sitting in his pocket, because I figured he'd do the BF, but I was obviously wrong. He always gets the Avarice into the static first, but he can buy both now. Just short of enough to finish that. He is up 67 to 63 as we see Dyrus and Westrice. Little love taps in the top lane. Neither of them are going down.
Dyrus eking out a CS lead in the matchup with the exact same items. He didn't even have to start with the sustain start, Crystalline Flask.
Right.
Yeah. That top lane, though, it's just going to be farming for a while until somebody goes up there for a gank. Really, I want to see what happens bottom, because Robert keeping his parts of the static ship. If he continues to out CS down in the bottom lane, you know, he actually gets increased benefit from that. If he doesn't need the
TS says
if he doesn't need the combat power of a static completed, then having Avarice does increase your income.
It's probably backing TSM, saying we're more powerful, and at this time they are. Phoenix Codex along with BF Sword and WildTurtle is out damaging in this fight, but they just don't go for the positioning after the wards. Still biding their time to grab blue buff and get everything else into position.
Let's see if the bottom turret not being there is enough. Oh, Robert goes back now. He's probably completing his static ship then.
Yep.
He wants that before the dragon fight does come about. Able to pick it up after just one more wave, and TSM take that opportunity. What a move! Great timing from TSM to jump on this with the recall of Robert.
Oh, how times have changed. Usually 5 minutes ago, this would have been Complexity trying to sneak the dragon. Now it seems that not in position. These latest splits, the first few dragons kind of risk averse for teams, and they don't want to give up that much more. Dragon for a turret so far, if you will. That bottom one has already fallen, so TSM getting a little bit of the lead back in gold. Still, nobody has fallen just yet on the map. A rush for Sork boots coming out from Problem.
That was such a high-value ward there for TSM. And a great job by them jumping on the opportunity to steal that gold lead back.
So much dodging being done in the middle lane.
That's what this this lane here is all about. Dodging skill shots. Once again, everybody's super long range. Okay, now they go for the dive.
Got him.
Oh, Flash still not up.
Just at 11 minutes. Look how much time he has in the Flash. That timing.
Yeah, they barely got back there. Woo. So the first gank does, in the end, pay off. And Complexity finally capitalized on it. If it wasn't for that time, if they didn't go right now, then Dyrus would have, come out with that advantage. The CS was going in his favor. But due to Kez, they return to the top lane, and not only do they get the kill, but turret number 2 falls. That should focus a lot on the mid lane here now for Complexity.
And that's such a mind game, Kobe. I think anybody can't say they don't do this, is that they go more aggressive when they know their flash is about to come back up. And they, I'm not saying that is what happened, but Dyrus definitely dashed in and he was ready. A little bit harder for a fight there, knowing that he had his summoners. Very good play by Complexity to capitalize continuously, whether it happened or not.
And I know Complexity plans are definitely happy to see Complexity going back to the strategy of having super strong lanes early, because their biggest problems have been just losing in the laning phase and then losing the whole game after that. It's laning phase is snowballing out of control because they get pushed in everywhere. But Renekton, Syndra, and the Tristana plus Sona combo, they picked their strong lanes, they got their early turret shoved, and even though they got kind of outplayed with the ward and dragon timing, they still have the early lead. And this is the position where they have been able to find their win.
Right. See how fast it comes though. We're putting them on a timer now. They have the lead. Let's see how fast they can close it out. These games have actually all revolved around 30 minutes. 30-42, 30-13, and 27-44 in favor of Team Solo Mid. We'll see if Complexity can stop that bleeding versus TSM here. Kez looking to start getting the forward wards in. That means that Complexity feels like they have a bit more room to work with. They're going to try to start working off those small advantages. 2 turrets down. Only an 800 gold lead.
Gleeb goes for a kill here. Ult for ult. Teleport in.
Uh-oh. Very nice getting Westrice out of the top lane. He didn't have too much of a push onto Dyrus, but a little chaotic there for a second. Gleeb getting the teleport for an ultimate. Very good.
Yeah, his aggression really paid off there. That's a very big bonus for TSM because they have the dragon timer as well. So they easily can take advantage of the teleport cooldown that they have over Westrice here. Dyrus not having to use his to get back to lane. So pretty good play there from Gleeb to draw out this cooldown from Westrice.
He doesn't miss too much. 1 CS, but I'm sure he picked it up in experience. Complexity putting a lot of focus on actually Westrice being in that top lane with the current wards they place for him. So for him to teleport out there, a little bit of a waste on that, but they're still there for use. Coming up on 15 minutes, still the only kill to Complexity. How will they push this snowball though? It's a very small one. Usually we see them get a triple kill or a very big lead. Are they going to be able to work this small incremental?
Well, it's going to be the bottom lane here. Focus from both junglers. They do have pink wards pretty much throughout the river here. Very good coverage from
Gleeb. Uh-oh. Yeah. Bye-bye. Gleeb gets popped right there. Bubbadub comes up with a kill for himself. Not where they really wanted to go, but it works.
That ward coverage paying off for Complexity. Because they invested so much in pink wards, they know that they have the advantage on these pushes.
The river.
And they can make that attack from the Fog of War. Another pink ward. All 5. Actually, they just lost the one from up top. So that was Kez's second pink ward, even though he still had one up top.
He's helping.
He places a second pink ward. You can only have one on the map at the whole time. And he wanted control of the blue buff, so they give up that top one. Westrice is the only guy on the map, I guess, for Complexity that hadn't bought one. Yeah, this is that Fog of War advantage that you get before buying those pink wards. The investment pays off. Did that go to Sona?
Yeah, it did.
Bubbadub.
Yep, Bubbadub got that kill.
Not quite ideal, but it is the key for Complexity to swing everybody mid, and TSM are out of position because of the recent base by Bjergsen. Another tower for Complexity.
And it's going to be hard. They don't exactly have a siege-controlling team on the side of TSM unless Bjergsen is really putting out a blue. WildTurtle's going to want to be farming. And even if they try to engage, you got to remember Bubbadub has that exhaust for Dyrus or Amazing if they try to make a play. It's going to shut down a lot of damage that TSM thinks they have in the fight.
Woo!
Whoop. Just on the tail.
You don't want to go. You don't even want to go that way, Westrice. What do you do? There's no benefit from trying to go that way.
Under the turret! Stun him! Stun him! Cannot. He gets stunned himself. This is how does this happen? TSM just sent Complexity into a frenzy.
They got caught sleeping here. There's daydreaming and walking into the mid lane here for no reason. There's literally no reason to try and walk that way to the turret. But TSM are doing a good job. This is what they do against the lower teams. They wait for that one mistake. Boom. They're going to make you pay for that. Take it into a dragon. Perfect timing for them. Westrice is
So he was already caught by a binding.
He was playing with fire. He dodged it, and he should just...
Well, he's caught by the first one, so they knew he was there. And the ward. Man. And then for Kez to come in?
You can't analyze this. There's no reason to do that. All right, let's see how they come back from it, though. Robert is shoving down the bottom lane. He still has a pretty big advantage over Turtle. Right now, he's got a whole static shiv over Turtle.
He's trying. He's going to have the BF coming out soon, trying to get that attack speed in and finish the Zerker Greaves. But Kobe, we've seen this type of catch composition from Team Solo Mid kind of come about a lot, whether it's an Elise and a Thresh or the bindings from a Bjergsen's Xerath and a Morgana. They love to just continuously work off those thrown out skill shots. If they grab one, domino effect.
It helps a whole lot if your enemies just kind of march in one by one.
That's true. There's a little bit of an advantage when that happens. It makes it look a little bit easier. Now, getting that gold lead, 27,000, just about 600 as it keeps increasing as the deficit for Complexity. Westrice,
Dyrus on the hunt. Now, Dyrus has completed his Trinity Ford, so he's not really scared of Westrice at this point anymore. He has a lot of true damage, so even though Westrice has some armor already, Aurelia's a big point she'll have over Westrice is the true damage active. And then he does get stun him up.
I just gotta say, it's outstanding the way ROBERTxLEE, we've said it before, but 183 to 160, beating out a Caitlyn in lane?
That's why, so he's real aggressive too, likes to get in your face.
It's insane.
Now, it's the reason that we're so surprised why TSM were using all these bans on Prawley instead of Robert.
Right.
Which so many teams have found success against Complexity banning out Robert, because he has been the standout player for this team so many games. But this time around, he's happy with the selection that he's got so far, and he might be the one to carry Complexity. TSM only have, even less than a 1K gold lead right now.
Yeah.
Or TSM only have less than a 1K gold lead right now. So really, they do need more of those picks, more of those Morgana bindings, Xerath stuns to be able to hit.
Right.
And pick people off. Otherwise, Robert will turn into late game Trist, as we've seen him do so often.
Everybody is...
Dyrus looking to head him off
right now.
Dyrus wants a piece of Robert.
Should be TSM somewhat filtering down here if Robert tries to jump out of this one. Actually, he gets the outside run here. Buster back. Oh, the stun is completely nullified. Forces that one out. Gets it. He keeps himself safe after the Buster shot, so he can rocket jump away.
Yeah, one of the big things about playing Tristan is getting used to the small delays and animations that she has and using those to your advantage. See if the 4-man swing from TSM down bottom does pay off. Bjergsen's got full mana, so he can continue to harass under turret.
Dyrus chasing Westrice to the mid lane, and this is kind of big for Team Solo Mid. One more! Can he get the long range? It actually hits Bubbadub and Prawley. The turrets that are up, it's 4-2 in favor of Complexity there, but this is an influx of gold now that TSM can go around the map and start to grab. Only one there. Pressure in the mid lane. We'll see where they decide to move after this. It's not going to open up the map for them a lot, but it is going to help in the late game split push. They don't have to worry about it.
Well, it is a good early window into TSM strategy. They're playing to their strengths of their team here.
Yeah.
With the siege,
Get
with
through a turret,
Caitlyn
poke
plus
it out.
Dyrus, they have the poke, and if you get them even half low, then Bjergsen can pop off his ulti to force you off of the turret. It's all about zoning them away from the turret so that then WildTurtle can get the damage in.
These
Good
poke
siege
games.
from TSM, and they'll want to use that cooldown effectively again once it comes back for Bjergsen.
Yep.
All of this is just them trying to buy more time for Caitlyn to try and catch up to Robert.
He's actually pretty far off, at least another 1,400, 1,200 rather. A little
Well,
bit more.
the thing is, with the dragon control of TSM, Caitlyn's actually tied in gold with Robert right now. So he doesn't have much more catching up to do.
Still quite early in the game, likewise. So Robert doesn't have the range yet that he's looking to get on WildTurtle in these fights. Westrice getting a little caught out there, and he doesn't exactly have the magic resistance to be taking all that damage. But he's only worried about a Dark Binding in Bjergsen. Dyrus doing quite well in the top lane, bringing out Aurelia here for the first time. 207 to 182, keeping the CS up. Still being a menace. Now he's going to try to somewhat work the bottom lane. They haven't been really working the teleports too much. Everybody's been staying as 5. Split pushing really isn't a thing on this. When they win with the poke at a turret, they want to get in on it.
Well, they won't need to use the teleports for this fight because a dragon's coming up in 10 seconds,
Right.
and everybody should be in the vicinity here. Complexity actually already have a ward in the dragon pit, so when TSM start off, they'll be able to see it. Lanes are already pushing forward towards TSM's turrets, though. TSM, pretty poor management of waves for this timing because they have the exact dragon timer,
wave
yet
the
they
top lane.
they let themselves get pushed in for 2 lanes. And Complexity have the advantage, rotate up top turret. This should be a pretty free turret for them. They can get a lot of life off it at least.
And a half waves.
They got a half of a turret right there, purely from TSM not shoving waves and just sitting in the river looking for a pick.
Dyrus doesn't have, or not Dyrus, rather, Westrice doesn't really have the wards to continue in the bottom lane split push. His team is going to try and put pressure on the top side here. How is TSM going to react to this? Full wave coming in, 3 members. 4 members now approaching top turret. Dyrus can only hold so much. He'll be forced to back, and it's going to be up to Westrice to single-man dragon stop here, and I think he can make it happen. He may lose his life. I don't know if it'll be worth, Kobe.
Yeah, that's pretty risky to go in there. Morgana can lock him up for a long time.
Yeah.
And Turtle will feel safe about it. See if the rest of the team can move around. They got top turret and a red buff steal for this dragon, though.
Very nicely done. He had at least Westrice kept them occupied as well when they were taking it. They didn't really get much off it. They're forced to back now. And we're going to see Complexity start coming out with some wards. They can now pepper the front side of TSM's base. We'll see where they start placing these deep wards. They already have one where they just took down top 2nd-tier turret.
And I think that last series of events kind of highlighted TSM's sort of lack of planning. They're looking to the future. They had the information that they need to set up that play better than they did, but weren't able to pull it off. And because all of the lanes, Complexity were able to push them in their favor.
Right.
Complexity with a pretty good mid-game play there to trade.
Tez alternating a bit with his Elise build. Does get that Spectral, but
well,
also doesn't get the Haunting Guys right away. He goes for defense.
Yeah, he's always gotten the Sightstone after his Spectral Wraith. He's been a real big fan of that for Elise. And it is a really popular build now, so...
Yeah, we saw it in the stats when Kez came on the team. The wards for Complexity went through the roof. Definitely better vision control with that addition. 2-2 here in this game. Some of that vision has capitalized on a few kills. They're down 1,000 gold right now, but they could be able to make it back quite soon. ROBERTxLEE clearing a bit out in mid. 267 to 210 there. He's actually been prioritizing farm for himself. WildTurtle's really been with the team. He hasn't really gotten any past 200 in the past few minutes here, walking around with the party. A team solo mid. There's the Caliber net, goes out. It looks like WildTurtle will stay safe.
Where's that teleport
Fast
from Dyrus? Oh, he canceled it.
Yep, yeah, he did.
Self-canceled there from Dyrus.
He's
He'll
hoofing
just
it.
walk his way up to try and flank from the backside. Whoa! Turtle gets chunked to half. TSM cannot
ROBERTxLEE.
engage this. Dyrus cannot go in with Turtle and Gleeb both at half health.
Front line, ROBERTxLEE feels like it's safe to be the first one at the turret with practically in melee range with a level 14 Tristana, but he makes it count. Makes it happen.
What a steal there.
They walk
Flex
away with
come
blue.
away.
So TSM is, I think they're kind of in like recuperation mode here. They're figuring out how Complexity is just walking around them, stealing everything from out from under their nose. Somehow TSM still holding the lead with those dragons they had in the early game. ROBERTxLEE is getting so much fun.
The whole crowd is cheering right now for the giant juicy wave for Robert. It's a good feeling, pretty much in any game when you get to go soak up that much CS, especially with Trist.
He's a beast. It's the waiting game again for Complexity.
Caitlyn, though, does scale up fairly well towards the late game.
She does.
Well.
WildTurtle can definitely use her to the fullest effect.
So really, it is going to come down to the skill shots, I think, because both of the mid lane mages will have a really big impact if they can hit their long range skill shots here. It probably can catch somebody out. We've seen so many times already, Turtle's been getting chunked out. These AD carries, yes, they're a huge bonus if you can keep them alive, but they all build extremely offensively, and they're easily taken out if they do get hit by one of these stray cocoons or dark bindings, and easily followed up with by one of these long-range mages.
We already have the McHale's rush for WildTurtle, so he'll be able to stay a little bit safer in these fights, but then you have the lifesteal already on ROBERTxLEE with the Cutlass coming out, so...
Yeah, Bubbadub working on his
It's gonna be tough. He'll get there. I think the saving grace right now is the exhaust, if anybody were to jump in on ROBERTxLEE. A lot of safety for anybody with that exhaust.
Yeah, and with Westrice actually getting a little bit of damage with the Tiamat this time around, not going full tank, he will be more threatening to Turtle than in the past. Wonder if that will be enough. He does have a Morgana to peel for him, which is always very strong.
All right, 2 members of TSM backing here, so the majority are now going to set up a little bit of defense here. Garrison in the mid lane, minute and 30 onto Dragon, so we're getting some finalized buys. Giant's belt here from Amazing. And the rest of the crew getting ready to set up. Ward's finally in that lane for Westrice to get a little bit deeper without feeling like he's in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, and that's, again, back to the point where really most of the plans seem to be on Complexity's side here.
Right.
TSM playing very reactively. Their vision control is definitely not on par. Complexity with way more pink wards placed. TSM have 3 in their inventories right now, but TSM not being able to actually get that control and spend the time to go place everything. That does get caught out.
Complexity's still going with the pink wards. They down by their rates, 2 at Baron, 1 down to the bottom.
They buy so many that Kez killed one of his own pink wards by placing a second one.
Nobody cheered for that one. Overwarding. It's a dangerous thing.
I've been waiting to see an all-in between these two. Very curious.
You're not going to get it. I'm sorry, Kobe.
As the game goes on longer and longer, really interested to see how Dyrus with his Aurelia can handle Renekton. Because the changes to Renekton were fairly interesting, where his early game, the ultimate effectiveness was nerfed, but the late game was increased to compensate for that. So he doesn't fall off as hard as he used to fall off.
Still a pretty scary Gator. Coming up on 30 minutes. Still 1,000 gold lead. That's the only thing that separates these two teams. It's sitting in TSM's pocket now for the last bit of time here in the matchup. They're down in
It's all about the
turrets.
picks, man. The long-range skill shots. Binding misses, flash crescendo misses.
Mellifluous ultimate coming from Bubbadub.
However, he also got these flash out of Gleeb, so support flashes are down for both teams. Positioning, though, definitely in TSM's favor. Are they bold enough to try and cut off Complexity, though? This is a risky maneuver going for the turret. Everyone filing in between this small corridor would be bad. Phew!
throwing out the artillery. Didn't really hit anybody. That was a little awkward.
Yeah, he shot off one shot, and then he had to pack everything up and run.
A little weird. They're going to go ahead and back off of this and say that was not the right decision. Set up some defense. We'll see if Complexity can take an advantage off of that. The McHale's is finally finished up onto ROBERTxLEE. Maybe that's the situation. They didn't get what they want, or the reason they didn't get what they want in that situation.
Ooh, so they return to mid lane here, and they'll trade Dragon for this secondary turret. That's a fine trade, but you have to be very careful. Inhibitor turrets are really key.
Yeah.
But Complexity bank on the fact that TSM won't continue that
big
push because
opening.
they don't have the wave. And it does pay off. Yeah, that's a heartbreaker for TSM. As we said last game, the blue buff control has become such a huge part about these games that have all the long-range wave control mid.
Yep. Okay, so Complexity still gets theirs. Where will TSM start to set up for the next bit of commotion? Still the wards coming out for Complexity, and they're going to try to get eyes onto Baron here. I think still a little early for this to be the contest. Bubbadub level 12. Got the damage on the 80 carries, but it's going to be one hell of a fight if they decide to go for it now.
Yeah, I'm wondering what Turtle's going to
How are they
purchase
still
for
12?
his third item, because he's got quite a bit of cash stacked up. Looks like he goes for another BF sword item. That could easily be Bloodthirster for the defense, or the Mercurial Scimitar, just for another get out of jail free card if he gets caught by one of those long range CCs that are looking like they will be determining this game so far. Man, it's already creeping up here. Over 30 minutes is only 2-2, and the gold is dead even.
Kobe, it's already the longest game between these two teams that they played this split.
Well, this is the new and improved Complexity. Marathon runners.
They are ready. They actually did 5 games before they played this one, so they're ready. They're ready to go for the long haul.
Now, it's interesting that since they're kind of sensing this game going so long, Probably's gone with the Deathfire Grasp, because there's so few picks right now. He really wants to be able to capitalize on any pick that they do get.
Yeah.
So if they find one person, Probably's going to make sure that he can kill that one person.
Ooh.
Well, he's the one who gets found, though.
Oh!
Bjergsen got
Oh, he finds it! Bullseye onto Probably. The shot comes out. He didn't get the explosive on him, just the buster. There's not going to be the burn. A long-range peacemaker puts him in the box. It's going to be Westrice thinking he can in the fight now. A few more shots. Amazing ward jumps, but is he going to be able to finalize? The Sonic Wave does not hit, but he's in position. Westrice gets the heal from Bubbadub, but goes down to the end of WildTurtle, who starts picking himself up some kills in the game.
And Dyrus has teleport. That's got to be at least Baron here for TSM. Huge mid-game swing. Yes, they get the catch. It was on to Probly. And Bjergsen, with the long-range sniper shots, able to capitalize on that kill. Plus, Dyrus being able to escape and baiting in Robert plus Westrice for 2 more kills. TSM playing that waiting game and capitalizing on the mistakes of Complexity again.
Woo. See this one more time.
That sniper actually got through too, and Bjergsen, here it is. Dead eye for number 1, and dead on for number 2. Doesn't even have to fire the 3rd shot, but he gets Bubbadub.
Does, and
just
one.
For the extra point.
Nice job. Definitely some good ultimates coming today from these Xerath players. Those are not the easiest things in the world to hit. Been an odd travel time with the arc until you get it down. So 54,000 now. They put a quick lead in favor of themselves coming into this one. 34 minutes in. Looks like Complexity may have lost a bit of footing that they did actually have here. Not down and out. ROBERTxLEE is still their wild card with that damage coming out of Tristana. Looks like he puts a pickaxe as well within the build. So that's definitely not a Mercurial just yet.
Yeah, probably going to get a 4th item, Last Whisper there, because he's already going against double Randuin's front line from TSM. See how this split push from Dyrus works out, because Baron buff on Aurelia, he's feeling extremely confident right now. 3-item Aurelia. Maybe I'll finally get to see that all in between him and Westrice.
Maybe. Then watch him get exhausted. Then you'll be sad.
Well, Westrice doesn't have exhaust.
Well, no. Bubbadub's going to be there in a matter of time. He's always on his players. Saving them out. So it looks like TSM controlling the lanes a little bit better now, pushing those up in every aspect in every lane. They're laying down the wards to stay safe as they approach this section of the map as well. Turrets all evened up at 5-5 here. Kaz coming out of the base, just finished up his wardens. We'll see what he continues to do. Looks like they're going all the lanes. They want to put pressure on every inhibitor turret coming out of this one. I don't think Dyrus is going to get too much help here in the bottom lane. No, the team seems to be shifted over a little bit, so it's going to be mid and bottom pressure here coming from Team Solomon.
Well, I think they just want to clean up all the outer turrets here.
Right.
So shoving in this creep wave. This outer turret is a lot harder to defend than the inhibitor ones. So this is sort of the time where you see a lot of teams just give up that last outer turret in favor of turtling inside the base proper.
Cleans up the map, Kobe.
Now it's all about
knock out the front door
and cocoon game.
Yep. Who's gonna hit it? There's one miss. Keep a tally. Keep a tally. There's two. 1-on-1. All right. Gonna wait for the next cocoon to come out. 36:55 on the clock.
I'm so sad they don't go with the split push call for Dyrus to split versus
That's what
Westrice.
I thought. At least into mid. They have that mid lane right there.
They want this full 5v5, but man, the wave clear that you have with
another miss.
A Tristana with static Shiv is immense. And it doesn't run out because it doesn't have to spend any mana for it. So that plus Syndra is plenty to continually wave clear here. And that's why you get to this sort of stalemate where it has to be a key CC landing on someone squishy for the fight to actually break out. There's just so much wave clear here that it's very hard for TSM to get any hits in. Even Turtle with Caitlyn scared to go for it because of that long range stun. Damage gets through onto Frawley though for half. Westrice does take the ace in the hole, which is really big for them, but they are slowly whittling down complexity.
Westrice taking a lot at the front of that turret.
Home guards though on Frawley. He's back to full.
This is good. Having Frawley allows them to push out a little bit. WildTurtle actually hasn't been able to get a lot of shots on the turret, so you're right, Kobe. This is going to be a binding fight. Dyrus almost wants in already. A few shots from ROBERTxLEE. Can he get it down, though? Explosive shot, procs off the Banshee's Veil. 3.
Oh, progress! It's on to half.
Yeah. 3 cupcakes set out that Complexity does not want to try. And it looks like TSM is actually going to walk away.
Halfway mark is good enough for TSM.
It's going to heal.
Those, yeah, they do heal up. It's slow, but it happens. And they're going to go grab that dragon instead. Baron buff probably about to run dry for TSM, which is why they're actually calling off the siege, yeah.
They shoot it a few times, look behind them, yell Bay Life, and run for dragon. 38:40 on the clock. A nice 7,000 gold lead is what TSM is working with, but 7,000 is definitely not getting them through the front door, it seems.
Yeah, and we just saw it there. While the teams give up these outer turrets and they defend the inhibitor one, so much easier for them to stay safe. Complexity do hold out, and they're well on their way to the comforting 40-minute mark.
Punching their tickets for late game.
Yeah.
What is it after 37 minutes? They're like 6-1 versus teams, something
pretty close,
something like that. It's a really weird record, but they definitely have the majority of wins after a certain amount of time. So TSM is racing against the clock here. 135 on Baron. Who knows? That could definitely be the way back in the game. Both top laners giving a quick punch to the chin. Nothing really comes out of that. Dyrus takes a bit of free damage that he should be able to find off some small camps as they just walk back and forth here. Both teams kind of testing each other to make a mistake in mid lane.
Now, I don't think TSM will force the fight too hard until they complete this GA onto Dyrus. It looks like Dyrus is going for GA, which is an item that's very interesting because in the late game, GA is a very big ticket for one fight. It gives you such a large upper hand for a single mid-game fight. So you want to make that fight count and time the completion of your item with the aggression of your team. So after we see that on Dyrus, then we may see TSM start overreaching and try to really force something on Complexity to take advantage of the huge spike that you get when the active Guardian Angel is available to your tank specifically.
TSM now kind of dictating a push back down to Complexity. They're only receiving this because they want to be able to engage right. Looks like nobody's really going to bite off more than they can chew here. Safe play coming from both sides, as I don't think either team really knows what their next move of initiation is. Some good damage. Ace in the hole comes out. Bubbadub's not too worried though. That sustain is something that they can get themselves real healthy.
Yeah,
really
look what's
fast.
happening though. You know, Complexity are being corralled here.
Right.
The TSM vision is
like,
still only on the blue side,
yeah.
but they do have control of the mid lane here. So we'll see what they do with it, because Baron is really their focus. They already have the wards down on blue side, and since they have position on Baron, they can just huddle around the pinks. They're trying to bait. Scrying or very long cooldowns is not upgraded for Robert yet, so that won't be available, and they kind of corner themselves up against this mid turret.
Ooh. Oh
There's
my
the
God,
board.
Probably hurt. TSM sensing blood in the water, and they go straight for him. It's going to be back onto Amazing, though. So much chaos as TSM surrounds the fight. All of Complexity is partying in the middle, and TSM cannot find the right focus. Westrice and the rest of the team focus down onto one. Gleeb goes down, and TSM thought they had the upper hand with Amazing flying in for the initiation.
So yeah, they kind of had him cornered against the turret, and they thought the positioning would be enough, but not quite. So Bjergsen goes for some hot shots.
It's close. It's close.
It's enough to dissuade the shove. So TSM lose one turret for their over-aggression there. And I don't know why they forced it, because they haven't completed that GA there. And really the fight would be completely different if it's Dyrus jumping in with a completed GA and forcing something like that, because he would have the confidence to not have to back off. You can see midway through the fight, TSM, or Amazing specifically, has to get out of there, and he has to stop applying pressure to the back line and retreat. If it's Dyrus with his GA, then he doesn't ever have to stop, and he can rely on the timing to get back up. TSM do lose out on one turret and a little bit of the vision control that they worked so hard for around this Baron area. Oh, Westrice.
I think it's time for
Oh, he got
Nasher.
scared. What did he see? He didn't see anything. He's waiting for his W cooldown. He's scared. Risky play. He didn't have the rest of his team, so he didn't want to get caught out there. Better safe than sorry is Westrice's motto.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
At least for that play.
That's his new motto since he started building full tank.
Ooh. So many opportunities with Morgana. Just the fog of war bindings left and right. Continued in by the Xerath control, and Amazing can close that gap. A lot of synergy from this TSM team, especially in the late game now that they have the fighting phase going, and it looks like they want to prep that over and over. They're trying to bait Complexity in here very hard.
Map goes dark for Complexity once again, and they're in the same situation they were just a few seconds ago, where they actually were able to force mid and get that turret. Right now, though, Westrice would have to burn his teleport to join if a fight breaks out. So Complexity should be kiting backwards. This is TSM's chance to try and force the issue around Baron. And they do go for it.
He sneezed.
Complexity can shove up mid, or they can try and contest this. Baron going down so fast!
They're going to attempt it.
They've got vision! Oh, the vision ran out!
Can they get it to it? Kaz almost in range, gonna get up. No, it's going over to Amazing. Will they pursue the fight though? TSM is setting up a defensive line and almost ready to re-engage. Dyrus is stuck in the pit. Who will give him help? It looks like the rest of Complexity is given a little bit of focus there. Bubbadub takes the shot, but he's gonna be on the back line healing. Blocked with the iron. Solari goes down in Westrice. Or rather, sorry, Dyrus getting himself to safety on that.
It actually was probably not a fight that Complexity really wanted to take there. The full Baron already completed by TSM, and they didn't use anything, you know, really big on it. So they would be happy to complete that fight. Very clean Baron from TSM, denying all the vision from Complexity. I kind of feel like TSM should have forced that issue, though. They really wanted to go back and complete other items, though. on the rest of their carries.
Well, they're going straight down.
Turtle's got
straight down
defense
mid,
now.
Kobe. They're ready to get back in and fight it. They're going to try to maybe get some take up on this turret. Looks like they'll have to wave to do it. They did ping top lane. They said top lane is the next thing we are going to need. Let's see who they prioritize for that.
It's the perfect time for TSM. They've got Baron buff. They've got Guardian Angel advantage, so they can
Yeah, didn't go
theoretically
down
get
the
6
fight.
versus 5. The fight was at their fingertips, Riv. It was so close. They could have just taken it. But everybody's so scared at this point in the game.
You have to. That Tristana is gigantic.
If you don't land the key binding or the key cocoon, stun from Xerath, something,
Yeah.
then there's no trigger here for the teams to really commit to the fight. Now it's going to be a lot harder of an issue, though, for TSM. Since they didn't take the fight outside of the base by Baron Pit, now they're going to have to siege up again and rely on that Baron buff regeneration to really outlast Complexity in the siege. See if they can take advantage.
Yep.
That bottom turret, by the way, is healed up back to full. Remember, TSM got down to half. It's regenerated all the way to full health now.
Turret technology, man.
Yep.
They got it.
The two and improved.
So we got Dyrus pushing the bottom lane. Looking at Turtle's items, he's pretty much fully stacked right now. He has everything that he needs to be a menace and really play to his full capacity. He's been on the front line with that Bloodthirster a few times in dangerous spots, but it's made a great impact for the team now at 2-0-3. Flip side of that score, 3-0-2 for Bjergsen. The two carries really doing what they need to. And Dyrus has been occupying Westrice perfectly throughout the game, making sure TSM has free roam around the map. Once again, he'll take Dyrus or Westrice to the bottom lane, TSM forcing mid.
And we just got 500 CS for Robert here.
Yep, 500 at 47.
They got one of the picks, the Binding Land, so they get somebody to half. All right, let's see if that half health is enough. Not enough.
Oh, the flash in. Amazing, very big. Oh my God, it was only a few shots. Bubbadub squeezes tight.
He lives on that one. 5-3. Dyrus didn't even leave the bottom lane. Westrice, he's definitely thinking about it because his team needs his help. The great cupcake setup coming in again from WildTurtle to prevent most of the engage. And now he's going to get a few more shots on the turret after clearing out the waves.
Kez got to go back to base. That crit almost took his life.
Wow.
Crit's enough to take the turret. They say they get him in the long wars of regeneration with Baron buff. Enough harass down for TSM, and they do crack inhibitor line.
Great use of the composition from Team Solo Mid, not pushing any farther than they need to in the fight.
Westrice wants to get a piece though. Dyrus jumps in, but he goes right out, trying to bait in more attacks on himself,
on that crowd control tank that he can break easily amongst more people on the other team. And it looks like they played that one very nicely. They have summoners out across the board. The exhaust is now down. Really the only thing shutting down the other strides of power of Team Solo Mid. There's one kill coming in. Probably goes down. That was really the impact. Shock and all damage they were looking to get out of the fight. ROBERTxLEE was the next one, and he goes down. The DPS is down and out. There goes the support. The tank is going to be the next to follow. Perfect focus from Team Solo Mid on the entry fight, and now they're on the Nexus turrets.
You can hear the crowd. TSM did indeed one.
They did indeed one. 49 minutes on this one, 9-3. Bjergsen going gold on the Nexus as they take down Complexity.
So Complexity, once again, this is the second time in a row. They've been going towards the super late game.
Yeah.
But they haven't, had that luck that they had in the past. And maybe those few games were actually the ones that were flukes.
Yeah.
In the late game, it all comes down to skill shots. And it's, who can land them first, who gets bound up. And in this one, Complexity were not able to get it. TSM, very good job of the Baron vision control once we got to that phase of the game.
Yeah.
And the safe and slow play. They're able to finish it out.
Very strong matchup from both teams. TSM avoiding getting hit up by ROBERTxLEE's Tristana. And that was very, very hard thing to do. The mid lane matchup, all skill shot dodging all day long. We saw probably breaking out the Sork boots to try and get around those dodges early and get a little more damage back into Bjergsen's face. But it wasn't even the mid lane. It was controlled all around the map. Amazing with some great plays. Being in the hair on the red to red buff. Coming over onto Kez. A little troublesome for them in the early game.
I think the biggest thing there for Complexity were the kind of big glaring mistakes where they were just walking into positions that
the mid lane take.
Yeah.
When we saw Probably go down and then, or no, it was Westrice that went down, kind of walking back and forth. And that was a capitalization of TSM's wards at the time. After that, we saw Complexity then throwing 400 gold and then another 400 gold into these pink wards that were all on their side of the base when they thought TSM was going to be using them there. And unfortunately, it didn't work in their favor. They weren't able to push forward. A few good takes and pressures on Team Solo Mid. Usually we'll see Complexity try to be a team that will take down that second tier mid. While TSM goes for Dragon, they dictate something while you're on an objective. But TSM didn't allow them to do that this game. They always had Dyrus in the right spot, or they always had the rest of the four-man team making a push down the perfect lane.
Yep. I guess we closed the door on another. It almost made it 50 minutes there for Complexity. They did hold out for a while at those
40 seconds.
inhibitor turrets, but in the end, the vision control around Baron is how you end those late games, and TSM did execute it by the book. So
right.
Deserved win. Good job.
So Bjergsen again bringing out the Xerath, and TSM kind of focusing on a composition where they can always get picks from the fog of war. It's kind of like they're almost avoiding confrontation to get it. The amount they ward, they can just say, oh, there's one. Let's grab him because we're not going to get any trouble.
And the funny part is, they get so many of these picks sieging up at the mid lane and then at the inhibitor turrets. It just came down to being able to land those through all these minions and clearing so many. I kept on looking for the, maybe Dyrus will 1v1 Westrice and it'll get exciting. But they played a very, very slow game. And they just controlled the side lanes and moved it in.
Maybe next time. But unfortunately, that's the 4 matches for these teams now. Yeah. TSM, and number 4, Team Solo Mid. So 4-0 for them versus Complexity over the summer split. And we're going to right now send it over to Freak and Dash. We're joined by 2 members of the victorious Team Solo Mid.
Thanks, Riv. We want to welcome WildTurtle and Bjergsen to the analyst desk just to talk to you guys a little bit. Now, you're continuing a great streak that you have against the lower-ranked teams, but this game seemed to stall out for a little bit. So, WildTurtle, I just want to ask you, why is it that this game over the other ones kind of seem to last longer?
I think it's because, we're trying to, practice new comps, I guess, and then we're not really adjusted to it yet. So we're trying it out, and it's been working out pretty well, but, this game we were kind of shaky, and we didn't know what we needed to do, kind of.
So why was it this game that you decided to practice new things, I guess, in preparation for playoffs maybe, to say, okay, well, it's Complexity, we'll just try something new?
It wasn't exactly just against Complexity. We ran a very similar comp in the game against LMQ. But it's just Xerath being a really strong pick right now. He's just really good at sieging and constantly poking out. And we felt like we could make something happen with that. Also has really good stall, like Ziggs, wave clear constantly. So we felt like it was a comp we could pull off. And it's a lot more coordinated, and we have, I don't know, the flow is a lot better in scrims, and we haven't really been able to translate it into the LCS, I feel, and that's why the game stalled so long.
So if you're willing to share, how much practice does go into you saying, guys, I want to try Xerath next week? How many games is that? How, was that 2 weeks in advance? When was that sort of decided?
It's just, I try out champions in solo queue, and then when I reach a certain comfort level, or that's what everyone does, then we decide we try it out in scrims, and then we try it out in scrims, everyone gives their opinion on whether they feel like it's a good pick, and if we feel like it's a good pick, we build a comp around it, or we fit it into a comp that we already have.
Cool. All right, now Bjergsen, as the shot caller of the team, I want to talk about the middle of the game where you guys were having some of those stall-out issues. As the shot caller, what are the specific things you're looking for that will allow you guys to kind of open up the map and open up the game and move forward?
You just need to make sure that everyone's on the same page. That's what's really hard, to make sure that Turtle doesn't want to get his red buff, I don't want to get my blue buff, someone doesn't want to get some farm in a side lane, or we're tunneling too hard on either getting a pick or getting the vision. It's just having the perfect balance and everyone on the same page and not tunneling on different things. So that's really hard, and that's what a shot caller's main job is, in my opinion.
And you guys did finally get yourselves in on the fight, actually. We can pull up our first and only replay here. It's the mid lane pick that Amazing gets for you guys. So tell me sort of what the communication is like. Is he saying, I can go for this, and you're saying follow up? What are you doing here, Bjergsen?
It's mainly just when Amazing sees this opportunity, he just calls, I'm a god, I'm going to go in. And he just goes in. He probably does a good flash, but when we have the Kate Xerath comp that just has massive range on the ultimates, you can just keep getting those, like, even when it's far out of range, you can still get it. Randomly, I see Dyrus being at 1 HP, and he's like, oh, help me, guys. And we're like, oh, well, we'll come help you. And we managed to pick up a kill there. Luckily, Robert did not manage to finish off Dyrus, so we're still all alive. And Amazing just showing really good mechanics on Lee Sin, as always.
Yeah, that went really well. Turtle, I actually have to ask you. So you're playing Caitlyn this game. You're an AD carry. Typically, AD carries don't get to like make a lot of big plays. You're just kind of there with the team. So what do you do when you're like, well, I'm waiting for my team to do something, and at some point there's going to be a fight? Like, what do you do with your time, basically?
So basically, right now, I don't have any time to like go to side lane and just farm. So I have to like group mid and be like, okay, if they go on us, I'm here to auto tech something. So that's how I am right now. I don't really go off and just get a lot of farm and then come back pretty big. I'm trying to like play more with the team and like get objectives.
Well, one thing that I saw that game though was your sort of counterpart, ROBERTxLEE, was running around with Tristana. He had like an 80 minion lead on you at this like 30-minute mark or so, where he's the guy running to the side lanes, getting all this farm, getting giant and fed. Is it something you bring up to your team, saying, guys, Triss is going to outscale me?
I used to bring it up, but like it's kind of pointless because it doesn't really help our team environment. Like if I say, yeah, Triss is like a lot stronger than me right now, I can't really do anything. That's like not something you want to say. Okay. So I'm like trying to keep positive and be like, I'm still pretty strong. I'm not that weak yet. And then we just try to like win from there.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Kate pick a little bit. I do realize that it fits into the poke comp that you had created, but I want to ask, because of the way that we're seeing the mid lane champion pool develop, are we going to be seeing a lot more Kate across all the AD carries, or what's going on there?
No, I don't think so. It's just like one of my kind of comfort picks. I wouldn't really pick it normally, but like I was pretty comfortable with it, so I just picked it there. I don't know if you'll see more Caitlyn in the future.
Okay, well, maybe we will. I guess we'll see what happens. Of course, that was your first champion, the pentakill there, which actually brings me to an interesting point, because we had the video interview with you come out before this game, and you said you wanted to get a pentakill on Mars. Do you have hopes that the Season 5 World Championship will be held on another planet? I couldn't come up with the word. You hoping, Season 5 World Championship on Mars?
Yeah, for sure, man. I really want to get that pentakill on Mars.
That's where you're going.
It's my dream. It's my goal.
It's your dream.
Which champion would you want to do it on?
I'd probably want to get it on probably
Astronaut Teemo?
Like maybe Quinn.
On Quinn.
Yeah, I like little birdies.
We're good.
Respectable choice.
You can't do space flight, with them. You do have to still take a rocket ship.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. So actually, one extra question for you guys then, regarding the fact that we're talking about Worlds a little bit, maybe. You guys are kind of in one of the, I guess, lowest spots you've been heading into the playoffs, right? Like you've come in as top 3 seed for every end of the split. You guys gotten top 2 at the end of playoffs every single split. And to my knowledge, TSM is the only team to have gone to Worlds all 3 times, unless I'm forgetting one here. And this is the first time where North America seems so strong you guys might miss that opportunity. Is that pressure kind of bearing down on you any?
For me, not really personally. There's still a month to playoffs, so we still feel like that if we just keep practicing hard, we'll keep improving. We have a really hard scrim set. We scrim 8 hours a day and have mandatory solo queue practice as well. So I think every one of us just feel confident enough that we just need to keep improving, and we just need to be able to translate our play from back home to here.
Okay. All right. Well, best of luck in the rest of the games this season. Hopefully you go into the playoffs looking strong, making that push for Worlds. We've got to take a quick break, but keep tweeting those answers for our question of the day, because we'll be reading our favorites when we come back. Then it's back into the action for our third bout, LMQ versus CLG. Stay tuned.
You guys ever play?
Silver. Rise.
I'm a Tryndamere man myself.
There's no benefit from trying to go that way.
Under the turret. Stun him. Stun him. Cannot. He gets the stunner himself. This is no. How does this happen? Amazing ward jumps, but is he going to be able to finalize? The Sonic Wave was not hit, but he's in position. Shock and all damage. They were looking to get out of the fight. ROBERTxLEE was the next one, and he goes down. The DPS is down and out. There goes the support. The tank is going to be the next to follow.